friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kayla, and if you're not new, thanks for coming back. Always happy to have you. If you are new here, I like to do a lot of book reading, writing, lifestyle, a little Disney content. So if any of those things interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and think about sticking around. We are in the beloved Disney adult sweatshirt, and that can only mean one thing. A Disney video is coming. A Disney video is here. We have a super exciting video today, which is a little bit different from what's normally on my channel. It's a bit of a story time and a bit of a how-to all in one. Today we're going to be talking about how I planned a budget-friendly 24 hours on Disney trip and how you can do the same thing. Today I'm going to be sharing a little bit of like the timeline of how this trip came to be, how I planned it, and how I was able to make sure it was budget-friendly, and kind of just the whole purpose of why I'm going. This is very dangerous because now that I've learned that I can do this in an affordable way and it's actually like logistically feasible, if it works out, that could be dangerous for my wallet, for my time off calendar. We will see. So I have planned a not exactly 24-hour, it's more like a 36-hour in Disney trip, and I'm super excited. This was a spur of the moment decision. I went to Disney in November and I didn't expect to go back for several years until I randomly saw a TikTok that led to an idea that led to a planned trip, and now in May I will be going back, not even 6 months late, like actually 6 months to the day from my previous trip, which is a little bit nuts. So as a little backstory, I did see a TikTok of somebody else doing this, which was my inspiration. I'm trying really hard to find that original TikTok to link the creator below, but I fear I may not be able to do it since I don't have TikTok anymore. But essentially I saw a TikTok of this woman who planned a trip, a 24 hours in Disney trip. She took a 5 a.m. flight from New York to Florida, went to Hollywood Studios, proposed to her partner, then flew back at like 9 p.m. and landed around 1 a.m. back in New York, all in 24 hours. I added an additional element to this, which was I wanted to do it budget friendly, because I also decided to do this when I was unemployed. So I saw the TikTok, I saved it because I was like, that's a great idea. I'll never do that. And then not 3 months later, I got laid off. I'm unemployed. I'm bored. I need something to look forward to. I want to do something spontaneous and adventurous and fun. And I decided to just look. So it starts with a text message. And I'll put it up on the screen because I have actually made a whole album of all of the things that led up to this trip. I'll put it here on the screen. I sent it to my friends from Bridgewater that I lived with and that like were in my sorority with me, my closest friend group, and I said, does anyone want to be wild and crazy with me and book an $84 flight to Orlando to go to Disney World for one day? And my friends were like, that's so fun, that's sick, do it. And one friend was kind of thinking about it but wasn't sure, and I said, okay, I will wait like a couple of days, curb my impulses, really think this through before I book anything. And part of that, I did a little bit of preliminary research just to get an idea of what this would look like what a flight would look like, what a one-day park ticket would look like, all of that stuff. And I realized that it was pretty feasible, it was pretty affordable, I could make it happen. There were dates that would give me a lot of time to be in the park and not be like running around and like not make it worth it. I told myself I was gonna wait a couple of days to book it and really think it through. My mom was like, go for it, life is short. My sister was like, that's dumb, don't do it. My boyfriend was like, okay, sure. But definitely thought I was a crazy person. I lasted 24 hours. And you know, I wasn't even sure I was going to make it those 24 hours, but what I did first was book the flight because I didn't want the flight price to change. Typically Disney park tickets stay the same rate, so you don't really have to worry about, unless it's like a peak vacation week or a long weekend, then they might change, but I was going on a random Tuesday. So I booked the flight, and this is the first step to be aware of if you want to do this yourself, which is book a flight that affords you the most time in the park, which means you might have to plan out a little bit farther in advance. Like I couldn't plan it on Saturday and probably go on Tuesday and make it worth my while. Also, if you want to do it budget friendly, you got to be open to a budget friendly airline. So I flew Spirit. I booked my ticket on Spirit. It was $84, and what was really great was I found a 5 a.m. flight leaving from Boston that would get me to Orlando for 9. I could be to Magic Kingdom shortly after rope drop, and then my flight back didn't leave until 9 p.m. so I could stay for most of the day in the park, probably get back to the Orlando airport around 6 or 6:30, and have plenty of time to make my flight and be home by midnight, which would have been really exhausting, but I was like, okay, I can do that for one day. So I booked at least my flight just to lock it in. There were, I will say, for Spirit from Boston to Orlando, multiple days that had flights for this price range. I just compared the different times for each of those days. There's probably like 1 or 2 a month that had that $84 price tag. Just the times were different for each one. So there were a couple that I would maybe spend like 5 hours in the park, which wasn't worth it for me to do all of this hassle. So I just kind of waited and played with the days and found one that offered me the most time in the park, so I would have a little bit less pressure and actually be able to do things. At this point in time, I'm still planning on going fully by myself, so I'm just thinking about, okay, I don't need 12 hours in the park, or I don't need to be there more than one day, because I'm just going to take the time to do a few key things that I would like to do to have a magical day. After I booked my flight, I did book my park ticket because, like I said, those prices are typically the same. So I booked my park ticket, which was $159. So we spent $84 on the flight and $159 on the park ticket. I decided not to do a park hopper. I didn't want to deal with the added travel time of logistically getting from one park to the next. So I just stuck with the 1 day, 1 park ticket, which they do get cheaper the more tickets you buy, the more like days you buy tickets for. But obviously I wasn't trying to be there for very long. So far, I spent $243 on my trip, and that is my park ticket, that is my flight. I don't have a carry-on because I'm going for 24 hours. I barely even need a backpack. At this point, I'm planning on just bringing like a crossbody of my essentials, or like a small like lounge fly of the stuff that I need for the day in the park. I also knew that I wanted to go to Magic Kingdom. I thought about like Hollywood Studios and getting to do some stuff that I didn't, or going to Epcot and drinking around the world, but really I just wanted the most magic, which for me is Magic Kingdom. So I booked the flight and the park ticket, and at that point I thought that was going to be the extent of my trip. So $243 was for me reasonable to pay for one day. That was my ideal. That's what I expected to pay, and that's what I really wanted to pay. If I were ever to do that again, I would hope to stay somewhere in that park, in that ballpark of pricing for $240. I think to myself, I'm like, that's a solid trip to Target for me. So like, it's not that bad. For a flight, for a park ticket, $243. And if my flight had not changed, that's what I would have paid in total for this trip. Because I flew Spirit and I did not lock in my flight price, which I believe is something you can do on Spirit, they moved my flights. So they moved my departing flight to the night before, and they moved my return flight to the day after, the morning after, which was really frustrating. And I was like, shoot, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like, I'm gonna have to get a hotel, and I'm gonna have to do all of this stuff, and I can't. Now it's not even worth it, and it's just me going, and for me to pay a hotel, that doesn't make any sense. I thought about canceling my flight, but I wouldn't get all of my money back for the flight, and I would, if I canceled my park ticket, I would have to find another time to do this in 6 months. And at that point I was unemployed, and I didn't really know what I was going to be doing for my next job, or if I'd be able to take that kind of time off in the next 6 months. So I said, let me wait, see what a hotel looks like, and see if it's something I can do. I decided that I didn't want to deal with the hassle of canceling the park ticket, but once they moved my flights, I could actually move and pick my own flight times for any time on those days. So they put me on like an 8 a.m. flight from Florida, but the Orlando airport is perpetually a mess. So I wanted to give myself a little bit more wiggle room to get to and through the airport. So I actually moved that flight to 11 to 2 p.m. on my return day. On my way there, they had me landing at like 11 p.m. But I'm like, if I'm gonna have to go and get a hotel, I'd rather just hang out at the hotel and get there a little bit earlier. So I booked a flight for the afternoon to get in a little bit earlier. At this point, I still had one friend from Bridgewater that was really considering going, who Reese has never been to Disney, and she's really thinking about it, and the fact that it's budget friendly. At that point, the cost was $300 or $245. She didn't know the flight had changed, so she was still thinking about $245 to have one really fun magical day. She booked her flight, and I told her that I would end up getting a hotel. She booked her flight, she bought her park ticket. We cried because she's going for the first time. She's so excited. And then she kind of gave me her budget for what a hotel was, which is why I waited to book the hotel, because going with somebody else, I wanted to be conscious of what they were willing to spend. And I could have made this very, very simple for myself and truly been budget to book a value resort, but in my last experience staying at a value, to get to the parks was a mess. To wait for those buses was longer than most of the rides you're gonna wait for in the parks. And I just didn't want to do that, because my experience at a moderate resort, I got on a bus a lot faster. I got to the parks a lot faster. I didn't want to try and Uber to the TTC, to take the monorail, to take the ferry boat. I didn't want to deal with any of that. Another way that I lucked out, and this was like the stars aligned in every way for this trip. They were running a sale for rooms in hotels for spring bookings. So if you were booking for the spring, you could get 30 to 40% off of your hotel. I also had a travel card that I used points on to book the hotel and bring the price down a little bit. So we got 2 rooms at Coronado Springs, which is one of my favorite resorts on property, for $360 for 2 nights. So we would be staying the night before, have our park day, stay that night, and then check out the next day when we would leave. So 2 nights at Coronado Springs for $360, which is honestly really not bad. And splitting it with another person brought our total for each of us to be $180, which is about $420 in total for all of the logistics of this trip, which was a little bit more than I had planned to spend. And I was a little bit bummed about. But fear not, because that is not what I finally spent. I had met with another friend, told her about my trip, and she's having a little bit of a rough time. My friend Jess decides that she might want to go as well. She finds a similar flight that leaves a little bit later than Reese and I. Reese and I are on the same flight there, and then Jess would come on a later flight that night. We'd stay in the hotel, have a park day. She loves Disney. She was really excited to go back, and then we would all fly back together. She found a similarly priced flight on Spirit, bought her park ticket, and then that brought down our total costs for the hotel. Each of us would be spending $120. So now we're looking at like $360 per person, but it doesn't stop there. For a while, Reese and Jess and I thought we were going to be the 3 Musketeers on this trip. We're each picking a theme for our outfit. Because it's Reese's first trip, I know I want some cute pictures. You're gonna have to wait and see my theme for the next video, which will be the pack with me for this trip and the prep for this trip. Reese is going for a like classic Mickey Mouse theme. Jess, I think, is still determining. We're getting excited. We're planning things. We're picking out outfit pieces and ears. We also make our dining reservation because we hit the 60-day out mark, and we had kind of talked about how logistically our meals were going to go for that day. I figured we could like grab a coffee, maybe a quick breakfast at Coronado, and then we could just eat snacks throughout the day at Magic Kingdom and maybe do 1 meal in the park and have that be like our big meal. So we actually found a reservation right before the fireworks. Like, we will get out of our dining reservation right before the fireworks start at Be Our Guest, which is one of my favorite restaurants. Beauty and the Beast is my all-time favorite Disney movie, probably my favorite movie of all time. And I love Be Our Guest restaurant. I went there in November and I was all too happy to go back because Reese had obviously never been, having never gone to Disney World. Jess had really wanted to go when she went to Disney on her honeymoon, but never got to. So everybody was very down for Be Our Guest. So I booked us a reservation. We're going back to the Beast's Castle and I'm so excited. We made our dining reservation. We'll be done right before the fireworks. We'll go watch the fireworks and we'll head home. At this point, I'm telling my roommates that I'm so excited about this trip. My 2 roommates think about coming with me, though for them it would be a little bit different because there wouldn't be room for 5 of us in our hotel room. They would have to get a separate one, which made it just not affordable for them. But one roommate, who doesn't have a lot of other travel planned for the year, said that she could come. And my roommate Maya decided to join us on the trip. She hasn't been since she was like 5 or 6, so she's really excited to experience Disney as an adult. But that meant that 4 people were splitting a $360 room, which means for 2 nights each person is paying $90 for a hotel for a nice resort. Coronado, if you have not stayed, is I think one of the most underrated resorts on Disney property. There are high-end lounges, there are like quick service if you need to do something quick, there are nice middle of the road restaurants, there are multiple pools, there are beautiful, beautiful facilities at this resort. That's our final price. We are capped out at 4 people in this room, but each of us paying $90 means that this whole trip was $333 to book everything. For our flight, park ticket, and our hotel, $333 per person, which honestly is not that bad. $333 I think is pretty reasonable for 2 nights in a hotel, 1 day in a park ticket, and a round trip flight. I think it's also pretty impressive that this means that the most expensive part of our trip will be our park tickets. Our flights were $85, our hotel was $90, and our park tickets were around $160. So really the biggest expense if you're planning one of these trips is going to be your park ticket. But $333 for 1 day in one of my favorite places in the world with some of my favorite people is a price I am more than willing to pay to give myself a little quick turnaround vacation. Hopefully the parks won't be as busy because it is during weekdays. It's not near any vacations, it's not near any long weekends, which is typically when I've gone, or for festivals, parties, race days, and they're all a lot busier those days. So I'm hoping this kind of random oddball time makes it a little bit slower in the parks. One thing that I did do that is extra and you don't need to do, but I think is fun if you are the leader of this trip, you are ready to go. I made an itinerary that really put in all the elements that we have for this trip, all of the moving pieces. People are on different flights, they're coming in at different times, we're all leaving together, which is really nice. 2 of us are on the reservation for the hotel, so we'll have Magic Band access, and 2 of us will not. So there are just a lot of moving parts. I also wanted to make sure that everybody got to do at least 1 or 2 things that they are super, super excited about. So I made a little space for us to prioritize our key things that we really want to do, our must-dos for this trip. So I'm gonna put the itinerary sheet up on the screen here and just talk you guys through it. I did redact some of the information because when you see this video I will actually be in Disney, so I don't want to put any information out there. But what I will also do is I have a blank copy of this as well that I'm trying to figure out a way to share with you guys. So if I can put a link somewhere for you to download it, make a copy for yourself and use if you are planning a trip or you try this, I will have that all in the description box below with the link and the instructions there for you. If you attempt this, I would love to hear how it went. You can DM me over on Instagram at RoyReadingCo or leave me a comment if this is something that you would do or that you would want to do. What you can do with the blank itinerary, you can either print it, which is probably the easiest. You can also, if you have an iPad or GoodNotes in any form, you can upload it to your GoodNotes app, fill it out and have it there digitally, or you should also be able to upload this as an image to Canva and put in text boxes as well. So I have it here on my screen, so I'm just gonna be looking at it here so I can kind of walk through it with you. So like I said, I made this all in Canva, put all this information in. This was kind of a template that they had previously made with the boxes. So the destination, the duration of stay, hotel details, all of that stuff. And then I just modified the rest of it. And it was just like a blank template. So easy. First we have the destination. Obviously here is Walt Disney World for my trip. We are staying, like I said, for 36 hours. I deleted our flight information, but here I would have included the date and the times for each of our flights for all of us. That's the hotel that we're staying at. The flight to come home, the returning flight, I deleted that flight information but would have had that there. And then the itinerary breaks it down by day. So what we're doing day 1, day 2, and day 3. And then I put in a little section of our must-dos. If you were staying for longer, you could adapt this as well to have day 5, day 4, day whatever. Or if you have more people, you can make them smaller different sections of what people want to do. So for day one, we are traveling. Reese and I will get there first. We can either Uber to the hotel or go to Disney Springs. We can have dinner and chill out wherever we go. Maya and Jess get in a little bit later. They can Uber right to the hotel. We can have dinner waiting for them, or we can try and make a late reservation at the hotel. Day two is our day in the park, Magic Kingdom. I included the park open time. We're buying Disney Genie Plus. You can note that if you would like to. I have our dinner reservation in here and our fireworks time, because those are just the lay of the land of the schedule we want. And then day three is our go home day, where what time we have to check out. I had our flight information, which is redacted, and the time that we would ideally like to leave the hotel. Then on the must-do side, we have Kayla, Reese, Jess, and Maya. My must-dos are fireworks and popcorn, and I am going to sob. That will be the last thing we do. I like to get a cute picture. I'd like to buy one pin, and my must-do ride is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So I told them to just tell me what their must-dos were. I kind of told them that I set it up as a structure of what I want for a snack, what I want to buy, and what I want to do. Because that's always like something that I think of every time I go to Disney is, okay, what do I want to ride today? What do I want to eat today? And what do I want to buy today? Reese, we're still waiting. Jess, we're still waiting. And Maya has one must-do, which is the Neutron ride, which I think is a pretty good must-do. In summary, I don't know how long this video is. Planning this trip, it is possible to do a short, quick trip to Disney on a budget. You can even do a trip for 24 hours, less than 24 hours, for less than $250, as I talked about earlier. But you can also do a 3-day trip for less than $350, which is not bad. In summary, I paid $84 for my round trip flight on Spirit at night, one day, a day in between, and then leaving in the morning. I paid $159 for my park ticket to Magic Kingdom for one day, no park hopper extension, but also staying at the hotel, I get extra time in the park. And then I paid $90 for myself for 2 nights staying at Coronado Springs Hotel. Those things will obviously change depending on the length of your stay, what hotel you pick, how many people you have coming with you that you can split it with. I also will say it may be more challenging to do this not being on the Eastern Seaboard. Like I said, I saw a TikTok of somebody doing this from New York, which is a very similar time frame to get from New York to Orlando as it is to get from Boston to Orlando. I would imagine Providence to Orlando would be a similar time frame. If you're anywhere south, it might be a little bit less, but anywhere from the center of the country to the western coast obviously would be a little bit harder to get to Orlando. A longer flight may not have that flexibility of time, so just bear that in mind. Like I said, the biggest expense that you will probably pay if you plan this way, you have friends coming, you're willing to be on a budget airline, and you can be a little bit flexible, is going to be your park ticket if you do it this way. I'm super excited. My next video will be a prep and pack with me for, I don't have to check a suitcase. I really don't need more than 3 changes of clothes. I need pajamas, I need a flying home outfit because I'm gonna wear my flying there outfit, and I need my outfit for the day in the park, and maybe a bathing suit in case I go to the hotel pool. That's literally it for this trip, and I am so excited. There I will also reveal the theme of my outfit, the theme that I'm going with for this trip. I'm really excited. I curated a pretty freaking cute outfit. But make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, found it helpful. Let me know, like I said, if you would use this guide, if you would go on a trip like this. If you do go on a trip like this, let me know how it went. Like I said, my next video will be the prep and plan with me, and then you can expect a vlog from my time in the parks as well. I am super excited to be trying this, being adventurous, being exciting. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know. And I'll see you in my next one.